Before we begin, take a moment to get comfortable. Let your arms go heavy, your breath slow. And as you listen, feel free to leave a comment sharing what time it is, where you are, and what city or village you're listening from. It's love to know. And if you'd like more quiet stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe so they gently appear when you need them most. Now, let's begin. When night falls and you tilt your gaze toward the sky, the expanse above appears immeasurable. Stars glimmer across it like scattered grains of light on a darkened shore, and the moon drifts slowly through its familiar phases. You might feel the pull of infinity, as if the heavens continue forever, beyond all imagining, with no edge to be found. The night's curtain stretches so wide, so seamless, that you cannot sense where it might end. Yet, the stillness of what you see may be hiding something stranger. The sky is not only a stage for distant suns, it is a window into the nature of space and time itself. When you stare upward, you are not just looking at stars. You are looking at history, at distance, at possibility. You are looking into questions that linger softly, like whispers woven into darkness. Is the universe infinite? Or could it be looping, folding back upon itself like a ribbon of silk? Infinity feels natural to us. Our minds can wander endlessly, imagining journeys without limits. You might picture yourself flying straight through the night sky, moving past stars, then galaxies, then clusters of galaxies, on, forever. But even infinity carries unease. Can something truly have no boundary? Can there really be no edge? Or is infinity an illusion we carry in our eyes and in our language? Astronomy has long wrestled with these questions. Ancient stargazers saw the heavens as a domal great roof above the earth, perhaps studded with holes that let light shine through. Others imagined crystal spheres turning in perfect circles, carrying planets along with them. For centuries, the night sky was drawn as an architecture, a structure with boundaries, even if those boundaries were invisible. Infinity seemed unthinkable then. Came the revolution of modern science. Telescopes revealed not spheres or domes, but vast reaches of space. Stars were not tiny points fixed to a surface, but suns, each burning in its own place, each unimaginably far away. The universe opened outward, and with each step, it seemed to grow larger still. What at once seemed bounded became a possibility of endlessness. Yet, science, even as it widened the sky, also whispered of curves. Einstein showed us that space itself can bend, pulled by the weight of matter, shaped by energy. Slight, the straightest traveler can be bent from its path. If space can curve, then perhaps the entire universe is not flat, but folded. Perhaps it is finite, yet without edge, like the surface of a sphere. Walk in one direction on Earth, and eventually you return to where you began. Might the same be true of space itself? This is the mystery that lingers when you lie beneath the night's curtain. It looks like infinity, but it might be a loop. Think of what it would mean. You could travel in one direction forever. You might eventually arrive back where you started. The stars and galaxies you passed would return to view, though from another angle. In such a universe, there is no edge, but there is also no infinity in the way we imagine. Instead, there is continuity. There is return. Even without such a journey, the sky shows us hints of looping. Patterns repeat. Galaxies spiral like whirlpools. Planets orbit their suns. Moons circle their planets. The cosmos favors cycles, from the turning of stars to the rising and setting of the sun you see each day. The universe may itself be a cycle, a grand loop on the largest scale, but the curtain of night does not tell us directly. To your eye, the stars remain scattered, endless. Infinity is seductive, and its silence is convincing. Yet, inside that silence, science listens carefully. Instruments measure the geometry of the cosmos. the faint afterglow of the Big Bang, the subtle distribution of galaxies. The question is not answered yet. Kani or Luke both still whisper across the sky as you breathe beneath this curtain. Let yourself feel both possibilities. On the one hand, an infinite universe stretching outward forever, making your place within it both small and eternal. On the other hand, a looping universe where journeys circle back, where endings fold into beginnings, where you are held inside a cosmic curve. Both are vast. Both are beautiful. The night's endless curtain invites you to imagine without conclusion. You do not need to solve its riddle tonight. You only need to feel the expanse above, to let the thought of infinity or looping soften into your rest. Just as your own breath is a cycle inhale, exhale the universe may be breathing too, in ways beyond our current sight. So close your eyes now. Picture the stars not as cold points, but as companions, each one carrying its own rhythm, its own orbit, its own cycle. Feel the curtain above you, not as flat, but as curved, perhaps even folded back upon itself. You are resting inside a mystery. You are part of the question, and as you drift, notice how cycles surround you already, the beating of your heart, the rhythm of your lungs, the turning of earth beneath the sky. These are the smaller loops that prepare you to imagine greater ones. For if nature favors circles here, perhaps it favors them everywhere. Perhaps the cosmos itself is not an endless line, but a grand return. The curtain of night hangs still above you. It feels endless, but it may be looping quietly, waiting for you to sense its shape. And as you wonder, you begin to notice cycles do not belong only to stars and galaxies. They belong to you, to breath, to life itself. You sit within circles you rarely notice. Breath leaves and returns. Your heart opens and settles. Eyelids close and open. You are a lighthouse of small, repeating signals. Outside your window, dawn keeps its appointment, and night follows like a companion who remembers the way home. In quiet hours, you feel the relief that cycles bring. You need not invent a sunrise, only greet it. Nature prefers returns. Motion remembers itself by coming back around. Begin with the nearest loop, day and night. Earth spins once each 24 hours, carrying you through a river of light and shadow. The planet does not hurry. It turns, with the poise of a slow dancer, keeping time for every creature that listens. Your brain answers this rotation with its own clock. In darkness, your body releases sleep's chemistry. In light, it wakes. Even after long flights, the inner metronome tugs you back toward what it knows. Lift your eyes to the moon, and you find another loop. Month by month, its face grows and shrinks, not because the moon changes, but because sunlight touches it from shifting angles as it circles Earth. Tides rise and fall in answer, drawing shorelines forward and back. Creatures keep this schedule instinctively. Crabs, seabirds, and corals time their lives to lunar pull, as if the ocean counts to itself. Beyond the moon, Earth follows the sun in a broad ellipse, a path nearly round. The planet's modest tilt more than its distance writes the seasons. When your hemisphere leans toward the sun, light lingers and warmth deepens. When it leans away, shadows lengthen and the world takes a slower breath. Trees notice before we do. Sap stirs in spring, leaves thin in fall. Seeds wait under snow. Seasons are geography's heartbeat, the same pattern sung in different keys. Water keeps an ancient circle. Sunlight lifts ocean into vapor that rises, cools, and condenses. Into cloud, drops gather and fall as rain or snow. Rivers collect them. Underground streams carry them quietly through stone. Seas receive them again. Along the way, water visits roots and lungs, deserts and ice, cities and caves. Molecules that touch your tongue tonight may have rested in a glacier or drifted above. A rainforest, life trusts these circles and builds its habits upon them. Your cells divide in repeated arcs, copying instructions that shaped you before language. Hormones rise and fall like tides. Body temperature traces a daily curve. Metabolism brightens with morning and eases toward night. Sleep arrives in looping stages, carrying you down and lifting you up, each cycle rinsing the mind clear enough for tomorrow. To live is to repeat with variation, renewing function by returning to what works. Plants compose their own rounds. In daylight leaves open microscopic gates, trade carbon for sugar, and release oxygen. At night they reorder and repair. Flowers time their blooming to visitors' roots, so open only at dusk, white against half-light, inviting moths with quiet signals. Its forests breathe in pulses you can measure from space. In northern spring, the planet's green deepens and global carbon dips like the inhalation of a living world. Then rises again as leaves fall. Animals keep calendars without paper. Caribou begin their migrations as days lengthen. Monarch butterflies follow invisible highways south, guided by sunlight and an inner compass that recalls a forest they have never seen. In oceans, plankton ride a vertical tide, rising each night to feed and sinking by day, a migration greater than any on land. Predators and prey sway together. When hares multiply, lynx follow. When hares decline, lynx wane, and grass quietly rebuilds the feast. Rocks labor through slow circles. Mountains bulge as plates meet, then weather and crumble. Their grains ride rivers to deltas, compact into new stone, and lift again by the hinge of continents. Volcanoes exhale deep gases. Rain scrubs them from the air. Rivers deliver minerals to the sea. Shells and corals build with those gifts, then return them to crust as limestone that waits to be remade. Earth recycles water, continent, atmosphere. In memory, even light writes circles you cannot see. A pendulum swings without tiring, yet Earth's rotation turns its plane, drawing a slow rosette on the floor below proof that the ground itself is moving. A child's spinning top wobbles and precesses. Earth does, too, tracing a grand cone in the sky over thousands of years. That long wobble shifts where seasons land most strongly, a whisper scale push repeated across epochs, tilting climate toward different regional rhythms. Patterns of growth choose curves. The spiral of a nautilus, the arrangement of seeds on a sunflower. The sweep of a cyclone each follows rules that prefer turning. Plants distributing leaves to share light often settle on angles that minimize overlap. Okay, the result is a spiral that looks like an artist's flourish but is an efficient compromise of sunlight and space. The same turning appears in galaxies. Stars curl like smoke around luminous cores. Energy, too, seeks cycles. Heat gathers, flows outward, and diffuses. Inside you, food becomes work and warmth. The leftovers return to the world for plants too. Weave into sugars again. In ecosystems, nutrients travel in loops. Nitrogen fixed by microbes enters roots, moves into animals, returns to soil, and finds the next leaf. Nothing in nature is truly thrown away. Everything is passing through the round doors of form, trading costumes while substance remains. Circles teach balance through feedback. When a system strays, other parts answer. Your body sweats too cool and shivers too warm. Blood sugar rises and falls, guided by signals that call one another back to center. Lakes do the same. Algae bloom, shade, water, and slow themselves. Wolves return to a valley. Deer browse less. Willows recover. Beavers build, and water lingers where floods once hurried. Correction is a circle that keeps the story from running away. Not every loop is gentle. Some feed on themselves and steepen. Fire dries a landscape and helps the next spark catch. Warming melts ice that once sent sunlight back to space, exposing darker water that absorbs heat and melts more ice. Yet, even these rounds instruct, turning carries responsibility. Circles can cradle or unravel, depending on what we feed them. Care is also a cycle, repeated choices becoming climate for choices to come. Human life borrows cycles from the world. We count months by the moon, years by Earth's path, hours by shadows sliding across stone. We ring bells at sunrise, gather at dusk, plant when soil warms, harvest when days shorten. Our stories loop. 2. Journeys outward and home again. Mistakes answered by learning. Questions that lead to better questions. Festivals return like old friends. Even grief arrives in seasons, loosening, tightening, loosening, till tenderness finds a new balance. Tools that keep our time, favor, arcs. A balance wheel beats back and forth. A pendulum draws its patient curve. Gears turn teeth into minutes. In a museum, you might watch a brass bob swing while sand traces patterns that slowly rotate. The line does not choose to turn. Our spinning. Earth carries the room around it. For a moment, you feel you live not inside a box of seconds, but upon a small carousel of ideas. Sometimes you sense circles at scales too large to see. The sun hums through cycles of activity. Sunspots wax and wane in an 11-year breath. Auroras answer with curtains of light along Earth's poles. Farther out, planets tug on one another, their subtle pulls adding up over centuries to reshape orbits. Even a tossed stone completes a loop, rising, pausing, falling, returning its borrowed energy to ground and heat. A brief arc nested within grander turns. In the laboratory, circles clarify thought. When a scientist repeats an experiment, they close a loop between question and answer. When results match, the loop tightens into trust. Mathematics prefers symmetry and return. Draw a circle and you capture all points equally distant from a center. Music resolves by cycling back to a home. Chord poetry finds cadence by refrain. Beauty often appears when a path knows how to return without rushing. You live inside many cycles at once. Some are minutes long, others span lifetimes. Others exceed the reach of species and civilizations. Because they overlap, they soften edges. Failure becomes practice. Fatigue becomes rest. Endings become beginnings. This is the comfort of circles. They promise that a path continues, even when you cannot see around the bend. That life is a wheel with many spokes and momentum enough to carry you gently forward after each pause. Yet, circle is not the only shape. Nature chooses. Sometimes paths stretch, twist, or warp. Think of a river that meanders until a flood cuts a new channel and leaves an oxbow, or of light bending near a massive star. You begin to wonder whether cycles ride on larger curves, whether familiar loops sit on a fabric stretched by weight and motion. That return is also travel along a deeper arc. As you breathe, you keep a private circle that aligns with larger ones. Inhale, exhale, wake, sleep. Hope, try, learn, and hope again. You listen for the rhyme between your pulse and the turning earth, between your days and the returning seasons. The more you notice, the more the world feels coherent, as if scattered events belong to one stanza being written slowly around you. A stanza that repeats without becoming stale. The refrain that invites rather than insists. Tonight, the circles in nature form a gentle net, holding you without tightness. They are not cages, but promises of sunrise, of rain, of migration, of return. They whisper that stability is not stasis, but renewing motion, and that rest is not the absence of movement, but the kind that brings you back to center. Like a tide withdrawing only to arrive again with gifts. Hold that thought gently. If circles fill space, perhaps time itself can bow. stretching and curving around gravity's way-tan, unseen arc you will follow next. Slowly, while you rest tonight, Einstein once described the universe as a fabric, soft and pliable, where both space and time are woven together. In this fabric, massive object stars, planets, even black holes pull and tug, creating dips, folds, and slopes. It is because of this bending that Earth circles the sun, not along some invisible string, but as if rolling endlessly in a cosmic indentation. When Einstein published his general theory of relativity in 1915, he forever changed how we think about time. Before, time was imagined as a steady metronome, ticking away with mechanical certainty, the same for everyone, everywhere. But relativity suggested otherwise. Time, like space, was elastic. It could speed up, it could slow down. Teat, it could be bent, just like a river winding around a rock. If time can curve, Einstein reasoned, then perhaps it can also loop. Perhaps it can circle back on itself, forming what physicists call a closed time-like curve. In such a universe, you might start walking forward in time, step after step, and after a long enough journey, find yourself back where you began. Time as a river, imagine time, not as an arrow, shot straight and true, but as a wide river. At first, you might think the current only runs one way, carrying everything downstream. But rivers twist, they meander. Some form oxbow lakes, bending so sharply that parts of the current nearly touch. Some rivers even circle around and grate. Loops. If time were a river, Einstein's equations suggest, it might not be the rigid, one-way stream we once believed. The image of time as a river looping back upon itself is not new. Ancient philosophies, from the Stoics of Greece to the sages of India, often spoke of cycles, the endless return of ages, civilizations rising and falling, seasons repeating, souls reborn. Einstein, through mathematics and observation, seemed to offer a physical echo of this ancient intuition. Gravity's hand, that the heart of the idea is gravity. Gravity does not only pull downward as we feel it on Earth, it pulls on space itself, and by extension, on time. In the presence of immense gravity, say, near a black hole, time stretches like molasses. A minute near the edge of such a monster could be hours, days, or even centuries to those far away. If gravity is strong enough, space-time twisted enough, the paths through time might fold back upon themselves. Imagine a page in a book. The page is a straight line, meant to represent the flow of time. If you take the page and curl it into a cylinder, that line becomes a loop. What was once infinite becomes circular. You could walk along it forever, always forward, yet always returning. Gödel's universe in 1949. The mathematician Kurt Gödel, a close friend of Einstein's, presented a strange solution to Einstein's equations. He described a universe that rotates a cosmic whirlpool in which all of space and time turns endlessly. In such a universe, Gödel showed, time would not move linearly. Instead, the very fabric of reality would allow for closed time-like curves. Travelers in Gödel's universe could, in principle, trace a path through time that bent back into their own past. Einstein was unsettled by Gödel's discovery. He accepted the mathematics, but it troubled him deeply. Could the universe really permit time to fold in on itself? Could the past and future mingle like water in a stirred glass? Our own cosmos does not seem to rotate in the way Gödel imagined. But his solution remains a haunting reminder. Relativity does not forbid circles in time. The twin paradox 1. The gentler ways to glimpse curved time is through the famous twin paradox. Imagine two twins. One remains on Earth, the other boards a spaceship and flies near the speed of light. To the twin on Earth, decades might pass, but for the traveling twin, time stretches. They may return home younger, while their sibling has grown old in this paradox. Time is not destroyed, nor does it loop completely, but it bends. It becomes relative, personal, shaped by the path you take through the universe. Two people who were once side by side may experience entirely different stretches of time, all because one ventured into the curve while the other did not. Circles. In the sky, look up at the night sky, and you will see circles everywhere. The planets trace orbits, stars appear to wheel around the poles, the moon cycles through its phases. Ancient people recognized these patterns and saw in them reflections of eternity. To them, time itself felt circular because the heavens repeated endlessly. Modern physics shows that these circles are not illusions. They are the product of gravity bending space and time into orbits. K does not travel in a straight line, but forever curves around the sun, pulled by its mass. The moon, in turn, curves around Earth. These loops are spatial, but they echo a deeper truth. Where space is curved, time cannot remain untouched. The dream of time travel, lift time can curve, might allow travel backwards. The idea teases both imagination and caution. In theory, relativity admits possibilities. Rotating black holes, cosmic strings, wormholes that pinch space-time into shortcuts. In practice, each scenario comes with dangerous destructive forces, paradoxes, or requirements beyond our current technology. Still, the notion of looping time has captured scientists and storytellers alike. Perhaps one day, far into the future, humanity will learn to surf the curves of time, to ride them like waves. Perhaps not. Yet, the mathematics whispers that it is not entirely forbidden. Circles beyond physics even, if time never literally loops. Circles appear everywhere in the way we live. We wake and sleep. We sow and harvest. We celebrate years, birthdays, anniversaries, all circling back to beginnings. Our very biology is cyclical. Heartbeats, breaths, circadian rhythms. In this sense, Kine's curved time feels less alien. It resonates with the patterns we already know. The cosmos may not hand us a doorway into the past, but it constantly reminds us that straight lines are rare. Life itself favors circles, a gentle closing cell when you think of time tonight. Do not imagine only an arrow vanishing into darkness. Picture instead a river that meanders, that bends, that loops. Imagine a universe where paths curve endlessly, where beginnings and endings touch. Perhaps time does not close into a perfect circle. Perhaps it does. But even now, as your breath slows, you are part of its great curve, carried gently along. It's not hurried, not lost, simply drifting with the bend of eternity. Imagine setting out on a journey. You begin walking in a single direction, steady and unbroken. The land stretches ahead, and you do not turn back. You keep moving forward, step after step, season after season, year after year. If the earth were flat, your walk might never return you home. But because the earth is round, if you continued long enough over deserts, oceans, continents, you would eventually arrive back where you started. The path that seemed endless was, in truth, a circle. Physicists and philosophers have long wondered if the universe itself might be like this, without edges, without a boundary, curving back on itself in ways our senses cannot grasp. A cosmos where forward forever eventually loops into home. The problem of edges when we imagine the universe. It is tempting to picture it as a vast box. We imagine galaxies sprinkled through space, floating in a container with an inside and an outside. But if there is an outside, then what lies beyond it? And beyond that, the question stretches endlessly, unsettling in its demand. Ancient thinkers wrestled with this. Aristotle imagined concentric spheres holding stars, planets, and Earth at the center. It's beyond the final sphere. He argued there was no place at all, only the realm of the unmoved mover. Later, medieval scholars placed heaven outside, or an infinite void, to depending on their theological leanings. But modern physics replaced these spheres with a geometry stranger than any philosophy. Einstein's general relativity told us that space is not a stage where events unfold. Instead, it is woven together with time, forming space-time itself. Space-time can bend, it can stretch, it can curve. If it can curve, it might also close. The balloon analogy: imagine an ant walking on the surface of a balloon. For the ant, there is no edge, no boundary. The surface feels endless, yet it is finite. If the ant marches straight in one direction, it will eventually circle the balloon and return to where it began. Ant never fell off. The journey never required an outside cosmologist. Use this image to help us picture what a universe without edges might mean. The balloon surface represents space, not the inside of the balloon, not the outside, only the two-dimensional skin. In reality, our universe has 3 dimensions of space, but the logic is the same. A finite cosmos can feel infinite to those living within it, because it has no edges. Early clues in the 1920s, Belgian priest and physicist Georges Lemaître first proposed that the universe might be expanding based on Einstein's equations. Soon after, Edwin Hubble's observations of galaxies confirmed it. The fabric of space was stretching, carrying galaxies apart. If space could stretch, could it also wrap? Some solutions to Einstein's equations allowed a closed, spherical universe finite, but without edges. In such a cosmos, light itself could travel in great circles. A photon emitted from a star could loop around the universe, perhaps eventually returning to its point of origin like a message in a bottle drifting across a cosmic ocean. The shape of the universe today. Cosmologists speak of 3 broad possibilities. A closed universe, like the surface of a sphere. Travel far enough, and you may return home. A flat universe, like an infinite sheet. Parallel lines never meet. The journey never circles back. It's an open universe, curved like a saddle, endlessly expanding outward. Which one is ours? The answer lies in measuring how space bends. Astronomers studied the cosmic microwave background, the faint afterglow of the Big Bang, to look for curvature. Tiny ripples in this radiation act as rulers, stretched across the cosmos. So far, the evidence points to a universe that is very close to flat, but the margin of error leaves a haunting possibility. Space might curve ever so slightly. It's too gently for us to detect, yet enough to close upon itself after unimaginable distances. No, it's outside needed day. Common question arises. If the universe is like a sphere, what lies outside the sphere? The answer is subtle. Just as the balloon surface needs no outside for the ant, the universe needs no external space for its curvature to exist. It curves within itself. This is difficult to hold in the mind. Queer creatures who live among objects that always sit within larger containers. A cup inside a hand, a house within a city, a planet in space. To imagine space itself as the container with no greater vessel around it feels unnatural, yet mathematics insists it is possible. Ancient echoes, long before Einstein, some cultures intuited a cosmos without edges. Hindu cosmology pictured cycles of universes, endlessly expanding and collapsing. Stoic philosophers described a cosmos that burned and renewed in eternal return. In Norse myth, the great tree Yggdrasil bound worlds together without need for an outside, though different. In detail, these stories share a rejection of the idea of nothing beyond. Instead, they suggest continuity, return, recurrence, ideas that, in their own poetic way, foreshadow the scientific picture. Circling light if the universe does close upon itself. Strange effects may be waiting in the night sky. A galaxy seen in one direction might be visible again from another. Its light, having traveled the long way around, could, in theory, look outward, and see a ghostly duplicate of our own Milky Way from billions of years ago. Its light, having looped around the cosmos, so far no such duplicates have been found. The sky is vast, and the echoes would be faint. Yet the possibility lingers like a whisper. Perhaps we live in a hall of mirrors, where the universe repeats itself across the firmament. The human longing for boundaries. Why does the idea of a boundary comfort us? Perhaps because edges define safety, a fence, a wall, a horizon. They mark what is ours and what is beyond. To imagine the cosmos without a fence feels unsettling. It's like standing on a shore where the sea never ends. And yet, there is also comfort in circles. To walk without end, only to return home, is a gentler fate than wandering forever into the void. A universe without edges is not endless emptiness, but endless belonging. Night reflections as you breathe tonight. Consider the air filling your lungs. The molecules have circled Earth countless times, drawn through forests, oceans, mountains, and cities. Air has no edges, only flow. Perhaps the universe is the same. Perhaps our lives unfold within a cosmos that turns back on itself, each breath, a part of a greater circulation. Close your eyes and imagine traveling straight ahead for miles, not for years, but across the eons. Galaxies slide by, stars flare and die, and still you move forward through a time so vast it dwarfs imagination. You notice something familiar, a cluster of stars, a spiral of light. The Milky Way, Earth, home. You have gone forward forever, only to find you never truly left. Asterisk, there is something haunting about a dream that returns. Perhaps you have known the sensation of wandering through a place you've never seen in waking life. A tea, one that greets you with familiarity. A forest you have never walked, but whose path feels already worn under your feet. A room with no memory of being built, yet whose corners your mind seems to remember. The dream circles back, night after night, as if reminding you of something you once knew in physics. Some have wondered if the universe itself behaves in this way. If dreams can echo, could reality replay? Could everything we know, the rise of mountains, the burning of stars, the brief unfolding of lives be part of a script that does not simply end, but begins again? The ancient Greeks spoke of this as the eternal return. The Stoics imagined a universe that burns away in fire, only to emerge once more, with every detail exactly as it was before. You, listening now, might have lived this very moment already. The words spoken, the rhythm of your breath, the weight of your body at rested, might all be part of a cycle that has unfolded countless times before, and will unfold again. Modern cosmology does not claim certainty, but it toys with the same idea. If space is curved in just the right way, if the cosmos is finite yet unbounded, then perhaps its history too is not linear, but circular. Time itself might be less of an arrow and more of a loop, not a straight line leading into infinity, but a pathway that bends softly back upon itself, guiding every moment back toward its origin. Imagine, then, a universe where the Big Bang was not the first breath, but merely one of many. The cosmos expands, cools, forms galaxies, stars, and worlds. Life rises, civilizations flourish, and then entropy deepens, pulling all into silence. Perhaps, at some unimaginable depth of collapse, the energy folds inward until, in its intensity, it blooms again another Big Bang, another dawn, keen, and in that new cycle, everything repeats. This is not merely fantasy. Certain cosmological models, like the idea of a cyclic or oscillating universe, propose that the cosmos may indeed pass through endless expansions and contractions. In one era, stars are born. In the next, they die. Yet across the cycles, the fabric of physical law endures. The constants remain the same gravity, the same chemistry, the same conditions for atoms to gather into worlds. If that is true, then repetition may not be just possible, it may be inevitable. The details of our lives, written once in the patterns of molecules and chance, might re-emerge in another age. The same thoughts could be thought, the same histories could unfold, streams that repeat, not in the quiet theater of sleep, but in the very architecture of existence. And yet, not all repetition is exact. Think of waves breaking on a shore. Each one is like the last, yet not quite the same. The water rearranges grains of sand, pulls new shells into its retreat, leaves behind different foam. The universe is circle. Perhaps they do so not with perfect mimicry, but with subtle variations. Slight changes ripple outward, and with them, new possibilities. But the thought of exact repetition down to every breath carries a strange weight. Imagine that this moment you are living has been lived before and will be lived again countless times. The sound of these words has already reached you and will reach you once more. In a cycle without end, Nietzsche, the philosopher, asked what it would mean if this were true. He called it the greatest weight, the idea that every joy and every sorrow, every small choice and every quiet hour would not only happen once, but would echo eternally. For some, it is unbearable. For others, it is liberation. To know that nothing is ever lost, that even as we vanish, we will return. Dreams that repeat carry this same tension. Some are comforting, offering a return to a familiar embrace. Others are unsettling, like a warning that never fades. To repeat is to blur the line between memory and fate. In the natural world, repetition is everywhere. Seasons turn, tides rise and fall. The moon waxes and wanes. These cycles anchor us, assuring us that the world breathes in rhythm. Caps time itself, at its largest scale, is simply another cycle, one too vast for us to see, yet no less certain in its return. Think of your own breath. Now, inhale, exhale. It repeats without effort. It has done so since you were born, and it will continue until your final day. In each breath, there is both renewal and inevitability. The cycle is small, intimate, and yet it is a mirror of something vast. If the breath of the cosmos is also circular, then each moment is like a lungful of existence, expanding, releasing, and then beginning again. And what of consciousness? What of the dreamer within the dream? If time repeats, would we know it? Would the mind recall, like déjà vu, that it has wandered this path before? Or would each cycle feel new, fresh, untouched by memory, even as it plays out the same script? Science cannot answer, but in your own dreams, you may have glimpsed an answer. A dream returns, and though you do not will it, you feel it as familiar. The mind recognizes patterns, even without memory. Perhaps the universe does the same. Imagine now, as you drift further into stillness, that this night is not the first of its kind. Perhaps you have lain in this posture, listening to these same words countless times before. Perhaps you will again. There is a quiet eternity in that thought, not a rushing infinity, but a gentle circle, one that does not overwhelm, but carries you like a wheel turning softly on a road without end. Time that repeats is not a prison. It is a reminder that nothing is isolated. Just as rivers return to the sea, just as the moon returns to fullness, just as dreams return to the dreamer, so too might the universe return to itself. Close your eyes and imagine the great circle. At its scale, stars are sparks, galaxies are beads of light. All of history drifts across it like tiny threads, weaving back to their beginning. Okay? And within that endless curve, you are a note in the pattern, brief yet eternal, repeating, repeating, repeating. The dream does not end. It only circles back, asterisk memory in human experience, is a fragile and shifting thing. We remember in fragments, a face glimpsed in childhood, a sound that carries us backward, a word that anchors us to a moment we thought was gone. Sometimes memory fades, sometimes it distorts, and sometimes it resurfaces with unexpected clarity. Yet, what if memory were not only a feature of human minds, but of the universe itself? What if time, with all its flowing and folding, preserved a record that cannot be erased? Physicists have long pondered whether the universe, vast and seemingly indifferent, might keep track of its own story. Not in the way a diary stores words on paper, but in the structure of matter, in the laws of motion, in the very geometry of space. Each moment, once passed, may leave an imprint that never truly vanishes. This idea, at its heart, suggests that time itself could act like a circle, bringing echoes of the past into the present and carrying today forward into a future, already patterned by what has been. Consider the rings of a tree. Each year of growth is written into wood, narrow or wide, depending on drought or rainfall. A tree does not remember in the conscious sense, but its body holds memory in matter. When we cut through the trunk, we see the circles of its life, each ring nested in the next, each one inseparable from the others. The universe, some scientists suspect, may hold its own set of rings, cosmic imprints that reveal where it has been and hint at where it is going. One way this memory reveals itself is through light. When we look into the night sky, we are not seeing stars as they are in this instant. We are seeing them as they were sometimes years, sometimes millennia ago. The light that leaves a star carries the memory of its origin, crossing the emptiness of space until it brushes against our eyes. To gaze at the Andromeda galaxy, for instance, is to see 2 million years into the past. Every photon is a messenger, of memory, a fragment of a story the universe insists on telling. But light is not the only record. Radiation itself carries a deeper memory, the cosmic microwave background. This faint glow fills every corner of space, the remnant of a time when the universe was newborn, only 380,000 years old. This is the first light to travel freely after the searing plasma of the Big Bang cooled enough to let photons escape. It still surrounds us today, stretched thin and cold by the expansion of space. The cosmic microwave background is nothing less than the universe's baby picture, preserved in all directions, like a circle surrounding every observer. Some theories go further, suggesting that the entire universe may repeat itself. The idea is sometimes called eternal return. If time is infinite, and if the number of possible arrangements of matter is finite, even if astronomically vast, then every configuration must recur. Your life, your world, this exact moment could one day happen again, perhaps countless times. It is a notion as unsettling as it is mesmerizing that the universe might be a wheel, endlessly spinning through the same sequences. In this circular vision, memory is not merely echo, but recurrence. Cosmos does not just remember what has been, it performs it again like a play rehearsed for eternity. Nietzsche once speculated about this possibility in philosophy, but modern physics, through the mathematics of infinity and entropy, hints at ways in which repetition might not be entirely impossible. If the expansion of the universe halts, if it contracts, if another Big Bang follows, then perhaps time itself curves back, carrying the whole of existence into another cycle. On Earth, memory is also stored in stone and ice. In the Greenland ice sheet, scientists drill cores that reveal thousands of years of climate. Tiny bubbles of air trapped within are literal time capsule samples of atmospheres long gone. They tell us about volcanic eruptions, solar activity, even human industry. The Earth remembers, quietly, in frozen layers, just as the ocean remembers in sediments, and just as DNA remembers in the sequences passed from parent to child. Everywhere, matter itself is an archive. In this way, cosmic memory mirrors our own. Just as the universe holds records in light, ice, and atoms, so too does the human brain hold memories in neurons, in electrical patterns, in chemical traces that can be reawakened by a smell, a song, or a face. Sometimes we think of memory as fragile, but perhaps fragility is only a matter of scale. On the time scale of the cosmos, memory is more durable than we can imagine. It's persisting across billions of years, folded into the very fabric of reality. And yet, memory is never exact. In people, it bends with emotion. In the cosmos, it bends with gravity. Einstein showed us that massive objects warp space-time, curving the paths of light and the flow of time itself. Clock near a black hole runs more slowly than one far away. This means that memory too is stretched and compressed depending on where it resides. The universe may preserve its history, but the way that history is recorded depends on the vantage point, the curvature of space, the weight of matter. There is poetry in the thought that the past does not disappear, but simply hides, encoded in subtle patterns we cannot always decipher. Waves on the surface of a pond ripple outward from a thrown stone, but long after the ripples fade, the water has still been changed. In a similar way, the birth of stars, the deaths of galaxies, the breaths of ancient creatures all ripple through the cosmos, leaving traces too faint for us to see, but real nonetheless. Perhaps memory is the essence of the circle itself. A line forgets, it moves on without looking back. A circle remembers. It returns to its beginning, gathering all that came before into its arc. If the universe holds memory, then maybe it is because the universe is, in some sense, circular. Not only in shape, perhaps, but in nature, in its rhythm of cycles, in the way it carries forward what once was. When you breathe tonight, consider that the molecules in your lungs may once have passed through the lungs of ancient animals, through the leaves of primeval forests, through the fire of early volcanoes. Each breath is a memory. Each inhale is a reminder that nothing truly disappears, only changes form, only circles onward. Your breath is not yours alone. It is the continuation of a process older than memory itself. And if the universe holds memory in its bones, then so too do you. The atoms that make up your body were forged in stars billions of years ago. Every element heavier than helium was born in fire, in the collapse of suns, in the shock of supernova. You are the memory of stars, walking and breathing. You are the universe recalling itself in human form. Asterisk, cosmic memory, then, is not something apart from us. It is within us, around us, and before us. It is the glow of the microwave background, the whisper of comets, the strata of the earth, the patterns in your DNA. It is the circle of existence, folding past into present, and present into future, without end, and perhaps as you close your eyes and drift toward sleep, you too will feel the memory of the cosmos moving through you, quiet, endless, circular. Across many cultures and centuries, there's been one idea that returns again and again, like the very cycles it describes. It is the idea of eternal return, the thought that all events, every joy, every sorrow, every ordinary moment, will happen not just once, but endlessly, repeating across time in an unbroken circle. To imagine this is to imagine existence itself as a great wheel, turning without pause, without beginning, without final end. For the philosophers of ancient Greece, the thought carried both weight and mystery. The Stoics believed that the cosmos was periodically destroyed by fire, only to be reborn again in the same form. According to them, after countless ages, everything that had happened would happen once more. You, I, the cities we build, the books we write, all of it would return, identical in every detail. The universe, in their view, was not a straight line stretching from creation to final collapse, but a spiral of fire and rebirth, destined to retrace its steps forever. This was not an idea unique to Greece. In India, the ancient Vedic text spoke of countless vast cycles of creation and destruction, each lasting billions of years. Gods, worlds, and beings rose, dissolved, and rose again, like breath itself: inhale, exhale, creation, dissolution. The Maya of Central America measured time in repeating patterns, their calendar describing cycles so vast that even their long count, when it ended, was only the beginning of another round. The Norse imagined Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, after which the world would be born anew, again and again, in cultures separated by oceans, deserts, and centuries. The human imagination settled on the same vision: time not as an arrow, but as a circle. Why did this idea appeal so strongly? Perhaps because humans live in circles themselves. We are born, we grow, we decline, and we die. But our children take our place, and theirs after them. Generations are not a straight line, but a chain of repeating lives. The seasons remind us, too. Winter follows autumn, spring follows winter, summer follows spring, and autumn returns. Year after year, the same winds, the same stars, the same cycles of planting and harvest arrive. It is not so strange, then, that people once believed the universe itself must follow the same pattern. Philosophy carried the idea into darker corners of thought. The German thinker Friedrich Nietzsche revived the concept in the 19th century, though with a different flavor. He imagined that each of us might be forced to live our lives again, not once, but infinitely many times, every detail the same. The smallest gesture, the most fleeting thought, the slightest motion of a hand, all of it would recur, exactly, endlessly. To Nietzsche, this was not a cosmic theory, but an ethical test. Could you love your life so fully that you would embrace its eternal repetition? Could you affirm even its sorrows, even its mistakes, if they were to happen forever? The question lingers even now. When we think of eternal return, we feel both awe and unease, because it suggests we are woven into a timeless pattern, our lives echoing across ages. Unease, because it suggests that nothing is new, nothing escapes the cycle. And even our sense of freedom may be only the replaying of an old script. Science, too, has flirted with circular time. Modern physics often treats time as a dimension, like space, that could, in principle, loop back upon itself. Solutions to Einstein's equations, like those describing a rotating universe, suggest that closed time-like curves are possible. In such universes, a traveler moving far enough in one direction might return to their own past. The cosmos would not be a line, but a loop, not a story, but a song, repeating its verses forever. Some cosmologists have even proposed that our universe might expand, collapse, and then expand again in an endless cycle of big bangs and big crunches, though current evidence leans toward eternal expansion rather than collapse. The vision of cyclical universes still lingers at the edge of theory. In more recent thinking, the idea of a big bounce has emerged. The universe, instead of ending in a singular collapse, might rebound, giving birth to a new cosmos again and again. But whether in myth, philosophy, or science, the core image remains the same: a circle turning endlessly, carrying with it every star, every breath, every life. Imagine for a moment what it would mean for your own day. The morning you just lived would come again in exactly the same way, not just once, but infinite times. The same conversation, the same passing glance, the same quiet breath before sleep, all of it repeating like a reflection in a hall of mirrors stretching beyond sight. Some find comfort in this vision. After all, what is lost is never truly gone if it returns again. Others find in it a kind of burden, a heaviness, K, as if every moment carries infinite weight because it is eternal. Perhaps the truth is neither comfort nor burden, K, but simply rhythm. Just as the heart beats and lungs breathe, so too might time pulse and circle. In that view, we are participants in a larger pattern, a dance as old as the cosmos itself. Tonight, as you breathe, you may feel that rhythm faintly, the rise and fall of the chest, the recurring silence between breaths, the cyclical drift of thought between waking and sleep. Life itself moves in loops, and whether or not the universe shares the same shape, the imagination of eternal return remains. It lingers because it speaks to something we already know. Beginnings and endings are not so easily separated. Every ending is already the start of something else, and every beginning carries the memory of what came before. The idea of eternal return, then, is not just a cosmic speculation. It is a way of seeing, it's a way of recognizing the circles in your own life, the seasons, the days, the dreams, the breaths, okay? It is an invitation to notice the endlessness hidden in the ordinary. And as you close your eyes, drifting towards sleep, you may sense that you too are part of that return. Your breath tonight is part of a cycle that has no beginning, no end. The atoms in your body have moved through countless lives before you, and they will continue long after, okay? The rhythm of existence continues, repeating, remembering, returning. Whether or not the universe itself will circle back, the idea remains like a quiet echo, and it will return again, just as it always has. Across many cultures and centuries, there has been one idea that returns again and again, like the very cycles it describes. It is the idea of eternal return, the thought that all events, every joy, every sorrow, every ordinary moment will happen, not just once, but endlessly, repeating across time in an unbroken circle. To imagine this is to imagine existence itself as a great wheel, turning without pause, without beginning, without final end. For the philosophers of ancient Greece, the thought carried both weight and mystery. The Stoics believed that the cosmos was periodically destroyed by fire, only to be reborn again in the same form. According to them, after countless ages, everything that had happened would happen once more. You, I, the cities we build, the books we write, all of it would return, identical in every detail. The universe, in their view, was not a straight line stretching from creation to final collapse, but a spiral of fire and rebirth, destined to retrace its steps forever. This was not an idea unique to Greece. In India, the ancient Vedic texts spoke of countless vast cycles of creation and destruction, each lasting billions of years. Gods, worlds, and beings rose, dissolved, and rose again, like breath itself. Inhale, exhale, creation, dissolution. The Maya of Central America measured time in repeating patterns, their calendar describing cycles so vast that even their long count, when it ended, was only the beginning of another round. The Norse imagined Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, after which the world would be born anew. Again and again, in cultures separated by oceans, deserts, and centuries, the human imagination settled on the same vision. Time not as an arrow, but as a circle. Why did this idea appeal so strongly? Perhaps because humans live in circles themselves. We are born, we grow, we decline, and we die. But our children take our place, and theirs after them. Generations are not a straight line, but a chain of repeating lives. The seasons remind us. 2. Winter follows autumn, spring follows winter, summer follows spring, and autumn returns. Year after year, the same winds, the same stars, the same cycles of planting and harvest arrive. It is not so strange, then, that people once believed the universe itself must follow the same pattern. Philosophy carried the idea into darker corners of thought. The German thinker Friedrich Nietzsche revived the concept in the 19th century, though with a different flavor. He imagined that each of us might be forced to live our lives again, not once, but infinitely many times, every detail the same, the smallest gesture, the most fleeting thought, the slightest motion of a hand, all of it would recur, exactly, endlessly. To Nietzsche, this was not a cosmic theory, but an ethical test. Could you love your life so fully that you would embrace its eternal repetition? Could you affirm even its sorrows, even its mistakes, if they were to happen forever? The question lingers even now. When we think of eternal return, we feel both awe and unease. Because it suggests we are woven into a timeless pattern, our lives echoing across ages. Unease, because it suggests that nothing is new, nothing escapes the cycle, and even our sense of freedom may be only the replaying of an old script. Science, too, has flirted with circular time. Modern physics often treats time as a dimension, like space, that could, in principle, loop back upon itself. Solutions to Einstein's equations, like those describing a rotating universe, suggest that closed time-like curves are possible. In such universes, a traveler moving far enough in one direction might return to their own past. The cosmos would not be a line, but a loop, not a story, but a song, repeating its verses forever. Some cosmologists have even proposed that our universe might expand, collapse, and then expand again in an endless cycle of big bangs and big crunches, though current evidence leans toward eternal expansion rather than collapse. The vision of cyclical universes still lingers at the edge of theory. In more recent thinking, the idea of a big bounce has emerged. The universe, instead of ending in a singular collapse, might rebound, giving birth to a new cosmos again and again. But whether in myth, philosophy, or science, the core image remains the same. A circle turning endlessly, carrying with it every star, every breath, every life. Imagine, for a moment, what it would mean for your own day. The morning you just lived would come again in exactly the same way, not just once, but infinite times. The same conversation, the same passing glance, the same quiet breath before sleep, all of it, repeating like a reflection in a hall of mirrors stretching beyond sight. Some find comfort in this vision. After all, what is lost is never truly gone if it returns again. Others find in it a kind of burden, a heaviness, as if every moment carries infinite weight because it is eternal. Perhaps the truth is neither comfort nor burden, but simply rhythm. Just as the heart beats and lungs breathe, so too might time pulse and circle. In that view, we are participants in a larger pattern, a dance as old as the cosmos itself. Tonight, as you breathe, you may feel that rhythm, faintly the rise and fall of the chest, the recurring silence between breaths, the cyclical drift of thought between waking and sleep. Life itself moves in loops, and whether or not the universe shares the same shape, the imagination of eternal return remains. It lingers because it speaks to something we already know. Beginnings and endings are not so easily separated. Right? Ending is already the start of something else, and every beginning carries the memory of what came before. The idea of eternal return, then, is not just a cosmic speculation. It is a way of seeing, a way of recognizing the circles in your own life, the seasons, the days, the dreams, the breaths. It is an invitation to notice the endlessness hidden in the ordinary. And as you close your eyes, drifting toward sleep, you may sense that you too are part of that return. Your breath tonight is part of a cycle that has no beginning, no end. The atoms in your body have moved through countless lives before you, and they will continue long after. The rhythm of existence continues, repeating, remembering, returning. Whether or not the universe itself will circle back, the idea remains like a quiet echo, okay? And it will return again, just as it always has. The language of mathematics has always been humanity's most precise attempt to speak with the universe. Numbers are quiet but unyielding, and when woven into equations, they begin to reveal shapes that ordinary senses cannot see. Within these shapes, some whisper of loops, closed paths, circles hidden in the deep structure of reality itself. Physicists, guided by chalk lines on blackboards or symbols glowing on computer screens, have followed these whispers for over a century. And though the mathematics is dense, tangled, and often bewildering, again and again it leads back to the possibility of cycles of reality itself bending back upon itself like a serpent consuming its own tail. To understand why, we must return to Einstein. His general theory of relativity, written in 1915, showed that gravity is not a force pulling objects from afar, but the bending of space and time. Mass and energy tell space-time how to curve, and curved space-time tells matter how to move. Of this elegant statement came predictions of black holes, the expansion of the universe, and the slow drift of planets, all of which we have since observed. But within the mathematics of relativity lies another implication. That time, usually thought of as a straight line flowing from past to future, could, under certain conditions, bend into a closed loop. Mathematicians call these closed time-like curves. To travel along such a path would be to move forward in time, as we always do, yet eventually arrive back at the moment you began. It is not a metaphor, but a geometric possibility, inscribed within the equations themselves. Kurt Gödel, a logician and close friend of Einstein, once uncovered such a solution in the 1940s. Gödel imagined a universe filled not with stars and galaxies expanding outward, but with a cosmic substance that caused the entire universe to rotate. In his equations, this rotation twisted space-time in such a way that time itself looped. In Gödel's universe, if you followed a certain trajectory, you would eventually find yourself not in the future, but back in your own past. Einstein admired Gödel's solution, but was unsettled by it, suggested that relativity permitted strange and troubling possibilities worlds, where cause and effect tangled endlessly, where histories refused to remain fixed. Other solutions soon followed. In 1937, before Gödel's work, Willem Jacob van Stockham found that an infinitely long cylinder of rotating matter could also produce closed time-like curves. Later, in the 1970s, Frank Tipler proposed something similar, a massive rotating cylinder extending forever that would allow travelers to circle through time. Still later, the physics of rotating black holes, known as curved black holes, was shown to allow regions where space-time twisted so tightly that time itself might fold back. These solutions, elegant though they are, live mostly in the realm of chaos. Imagination requires conditions an infinite cylinder, a perfectly rotating universe, exotic matter that are unlikely, perhaps impossible, to realize in our cosmos. Yet, their very existence demonstrates that loops are not forbidden by the mathematics of reality. They are not fantasy, but one of many paths the equations allow. Beyond relativity, mathematics whispers in other voices too. In quantum mechanics, particles behave like waves, probabilities overlap, and events are only fixed when observed. The equations of quantum theory are cyclical at their heart. Probabilities evolve smoothly forward, then repeat in predictable rhythms. The hydrogen atom, for instance, exists in discrete energy levels, each a standing wave that loops upon itself. The mathematics of wave functions is filled with circles and cycles, resonances that echo like notes in music. In quantum field theory, which unites relativity with quantum principles, fields fluctuate with patterns that often repeat. Vacuum, far from being empty, seethes with loops of energy. particles appearing and disappearing in closed dances governed by mathematics. Physicists sketch these loops with Feynman diagrams of circles that represent particles borrowing existence for a fleeting moment before vanishing again. Even cosmology itself may be cyclical in its equations. Some models propose that the universe did not begin in a singular Big Bang, but in a bounce, the collapse of a previous universe that folded in upon itself before expanding anew. In loop quantum cosmology, an attempt to quantize gravity, the mathematics, replaces the singular beginning with a repeating cycle: contraction, bounce, expansion, contraction again. Here, the universe does not perish in fire or ice, but oscillates eternally, each age giving way to another. The elegance of these cycles lies in their simplicity. Straight lines in mathematics are rigid. They rush forward without pause. Circles, by contrast, contain their own completion. They need no beginning, no external boundary. When equations yield circular solutions, it feels as though they are telling us something profound, that perhaps nature, school prefers to close its paths rather than let them fray into infinity. But are these loops real, or merely shadows of our methods? Mathematics, after all, is a human invention, but one that seems mysteriously tuned to the universe. Sometimes the equations reveal things we later confirm: black holes, gravitational waves, the Higgs boson. Other times, they point to possibilities we have never seen: tachyons, wormholes, universes with more dimensions than we can imagine. Whether the loops are real or not may depend on whether the cosmos chooses them or merely allows them. For now, there remain possibilities, quiet echoes within the symbols. Yet they shape our imaginations, and they influence the way physicists think about time. If loops exist, then causality itself becomes less rigid. The idea of before and after would blur. To live in such a universe would be to inhabit not a river of time flowing inexorably forward, but a great circle, where journeys eventually return to their beginning. Consider the comfort of this thought. Every end would lead back to a beginning. Every breath might one day return. The stars themselves, if they perish, could shine again in some future cycle. Even memory, which so often slips away, would not be lost forever, but would find its way back in the loops of eternity. Of course, physicists temper such reflections with caution. Closed time-like curves often bring paradoxes: the grandfather paradox, where one might prevent one's own existence. The problem of free will in a universe where every loop is predetermined. To resolve these puzzles, some propose the Nabokov self-consistency principle, that events on such curves are consistent, that no paradox can occur because all events are locked into a self-supporting circle. Others suggest that quantum mechanics, with its probabilistic nature, might soften the paradoxes, branching the universe into many timelines where each possibility is realized. And so mathematics remains both invitation and mystery. It does not compel us to believe in loops, but it permits them, and in that permission lies wonder. When we speak of loops hidden in the math, we speak of the possibility that beneath all appearances of straight lines and irreversible time, there is a deeper pattern of cosmic geometry where everything returns. If you imagine yourself floating beyond Earth, past the orbit of planets, beyond the spiral arms of galaxies, into the silent fabric of space-time itself, you might picture the great grid of reality, not as a boundless sheet, but as a closed curve. To travel forever might not mean to move endlessly away, but to circle home. To live might not mean to flow forward only, but to spiral within a grand design whose end is also its beginning. The equations that whisper of loops do not promise us certainty. They offer us a vision, fragile but profound, that the cosmos itself may be circular, eternal, self-reflecting. That we are not merely racing forward into the unknown, but tracing paths that might, in the deepest sense, be turned. And tonight, As you rest, you are part of that whisper. Your breath, your heartbeat, your memories all follow cycles. The rise and fall of your chest is its own loop, repeating again and again through the night. Outside, the earth spins, the moon orbits, the seasons turn, the universe is filled with circles, and the mathematics only reminds us of what nature has already shown. Perhaps, in the end, loops are not hidden at all. They are everywhere in the equations, in the heavens, in the rhythms of life, in sleep. You to join them, circling back into dreams, where beginnings and endings blur into one endless return. Asterisk energy cannot be created. Energy cannot be destroyed. It moves. It changes. It flows. This principle, known as the first law of thermodynamics, is among the quiet pillars of science. But beyond physics, beyond equations, it tells a story of continuity. A story in which nothing ever truly ends, it only shifts its form. The energy of a flame becomes warmth, light, and smoke. The energy of food becomes motion, thought, and life. The energy of the sun becomes forests and oceans, winds and tides. And so the universe itself can be seen not as a line, but as a cycle. A loop of endless return. The ancients sparked billions of years ago, before Earth had oceans or mountains. All the energy that now drives our world was already here, locked in particles, carried in radiation, waiting. From the Big Bang outward, the universe expanded, but never gained or lost a single spark of energy. It only reshaped what already was. This means the sunlight warming your skin today is not new. Its photons were born in the furnace of the sun. Yes, but their essence energy itself was carried forward from the very beginning of time. Each ray is a continuation of the same primordial motion that began when the universe itself began. And when that energy strikes you, it changes again into warmth, to vitamin D production in your skin, into the rhythm of your body's clock as daylight guides your waking hours. What was once the fire of a star becomes the quiet chemistry of life. Transformation, not loss. Imagine a candle. As it burns, the wax seems to vanish. The flame flickers and shrinks the candle away, leaving only a stub, but nothing is lost. 8. Atoms of the wax break apart, bond with oxygen, and drift upward as water vapor and carbon dioxide. The light shines outward, carrying energy into the room. The heat warms the air, rising slowly toward the ceiling. The candle is not gone. It is everywhere, now dissolved into air, into warmth, into photons that may travel endlessly into the night sky. Its energy has shifted shape, but it has not ceased. Your own body is the same. Every bite of food you eat carries stored sunlight, captured by plants, packaged in sugars and starches. Your muscles burn it as motion. Your brain burns it as thought. Every heartbeat is a transformation of ancient light into living rhythm. The breath as an exchange with every breath. You participate in this cycle. You draw in oxygen, a molecule shaped by plants through photosynthesis, powered by the sun. Your cells burn this oxygen, releasing carbon dioxide. That carbon dioxide drifts outward to be captured again by a leaf, to begin the circle anew. So, the act of breathing is not one way, it is circular. You are part of the loop. Your breath fuels trees, and the trees fuel you. Inhale, exhale. The great exchange of energy made visible in the simplest act. The larger circle, think of rivers. A drop of rain falls onto a mountain. It trickles down into a stream, joins a river, rushes to the sea. From the sea, sunlight lifts it skyward as vapor. It cools, condenses, returns again as rain. Not a single drop is wasted. The water never inserts circles. Now, think of Earth itself. The planet spins, tilted toward the sun, wrapped in winds and currents that distribute warmth in endless circulation. Tides rise and fall with the pull of the moon, their energy stored and released like breath. The whole planet is a loop. Energy comes from the sun, circles through air and ocean, through soil and forest, and radiates outward again as heat into space. Stars and their return stars themselves follow the loop. They ignite from clouds of gas, burn for millions or billions of years, and collapse. Their collapse triggers explosions that scatter heavy elements across the galaxy. Iron, carbon, gold scattered like seeds. These elements drift, gather, and form new stars, new planets, new life. The energy that once blazed in one star does not vanish when that star dies. Okay? It seeds the cosmos. It fuels the next generation of suns. It rests in the bones of planets and in the blood of living beings. When you breathe, when you move, you carry within you the energy of long-dead stars. Their radiance still flows, repurposed into heartbeat and thought. The loop in human life, even human history, follows this rhythm. Civilizations rise, fueled by the energy of rivers, harvests, and trade. They decline, their energy spent, only to be replaced by new societies built on the same land, drawing from the same cycles. The stories change, but the flow remains. Da, 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 said, da, 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 as, now you, as, well, I, Fire of culture burns, dims, and ignites again elsewhere on the personal level. The food you eat today might once have grown in soil enriched by the ashes of people who lived thousands of years ago. The atoms in your body were part of countless lives before yours. Your energy will continue on after you are gone. In warmth, in soil, in memory, in transformation. The cosmic loop, this principle has inspired scientists and philosophers to wonder, if energy cycles endlessly, might the entire universe do the same? What if the cosmos itself is not destined for a single end, but to collapse, restart, and expand again? What if the great arc of creation, expansion, and cooling is but one loop in an infinite chain of universes? Some theories propose that after the expansion reaches its limit, gravity may pull it back, compressing everything into another singularity, another beginning. The universe could be eternal, not in a line, but in a loop born, expanding, dying, and reborn again without end. Even if this cycle exists only in theory, it mirrors what we already see. Everywhere, energy is cycling, the great and the small. Both follow the same quiet law. The personal loop, think of your heartbeat. It pulses, rests, pulses again, a rhythm, not a straight line. Think of your breath, inhale, pause, exhale, cycle, not an endpoint. Your own body is proof that life does not move in lines, but in circles. Sleep follows waking, waking follows sleep, seasons return, years repeat, birthdays mark the wheel of time. Every ending folds into a beginning. The law of energy conservation is not only about physics, it is about this deeper truth, that all things are part of a continuity larger than themselves. The weight of continuity, pause for a moment. The device you are holding, it's the chair you sit upon, the air that touches your skin, all of it is alive with ancient energy. The molecules in the air once drifted through the lungs of dinosaurs, through the forest of the Carboniferous, through the magma of Earth's earliest crust. Nothing has been lost. Everything you see and feel is part of the same loop. Even your thoughts, fleeting as they seem, are transformations of energy. Neurons firing, ions moving, electricity shifting across membranes. Thought itself is the latest link in a chain that began billions of years ago. A gentle infinity, there is comfort in this. It means you are never separate from the whole. Every action you take, every movement, every word, is carried onward in some form. Right? It disperses, but it is not gone. The warmth of your body radiates into the night, joining the air, the wind, the stars. The breath you exhaled drifts outward, carried into the lungs of others, into the leaves of trees, into the atmosphere itself. You are a continuation, a note in a melody that never ends, only shifts. Closing reflection, the loop of energy, tells us that nothing is wasted, that every flame becomes warmth, every life becomes memory. Every ending folds into a beginning. It is the quiet reassurance of physics, but also of existence. The universe does not squander what it has been given. It carries it forward, endlessly, reshaped, so when you breathe, when you move, when you rest, remember, you are part of the loop. Ancient energy flows through you, and it will continue after you. Not lost, not broken, it's only transformed. A circle without end. Asterisk, as you rest tonight, your body is not still. Even in its quiet, it is a landscape of motion, of patterns repeating, of small lives beginning and ending inside you. You may think of yourself as a single being, but you are also a collection of rhythms, each cell, each breath, each drop of blood, following cycles older than humanity itself. The heart, for instance, beats with the patience of a pendulum. It contracts and releases, contracts and releases, millions of times across the span of a life. In this steady cycle, the body learns continuity. Your pulse is your own, but it is also part of a rhythm shared by all creatures who have ever lived, from the earliest fish to the people breathing beside you now. A quiet circle, unbroken. Cells, too, are caught in cycles. Some are born, grow, and die in only a few days, while others endure for years. Skin cells rise like tiny waves, moving from the hidden layers beneath to the surface, where they flake away into the air dust that drifts, joining the atmosphere. Bone cells rebuild and repair you, slowly, silently, carrying the memory of old fractures. Blood cells, small red fairies of oxygen, emerge in the marrow, work tirelessly, and then fade, replaced by others. Nothing stays. Nothing is wasted. Each ending is an opening for something new. Even as you dream, the cycle of sleep itself turns. Your mind drifts through stages, descending into deep stillness, rising again toward light dreaming. The pattern repeats like tides in the brain. Memories settle, thoughts are sifted, fragments of the day are rearranged. In the morning you will wake renewed, but the cycle will begin again the next night, as it has since the earliest humans first closed their eyes. Beneath unfamiliar stars, the body is not separate from the earth. Its cycles are echoes of greater ones. The beat of your heart resembles the beat of waves on the shore. The renewal of your cells mirrors the renewal of forests after fire. Your sleep mirrors the turning of night into day, day into night. Inside and outside, the patterns are never ending, always folding back upon themselves. Even breath, so small and unnoticed, is part of a circle larger than your life. Inhaling, you gather molecules of oxygen born in the photosynthesis of green plants. Exhaling, you release carbon dioxide, which those same plants will one day take in, turning it again into oxygen. This rhythm, exchange and return, has kept the planet alive for billions of years. With each breath, you are participating in one of the oldest agreements of nature: to give, to take, to give again. The seasons turn, and your body turns with them. In winter, metabolism slows, and ancient instincts whisper of rest. In spring, light awakens hormones and energy. In summer, skin darkens slightly, protecting itself with melanin from the sun. In autumn, appetite deepens, as if remembering scarcity. You carry the cycles of the year inside you, even if you never notice. There are longer cycles too, hidden within blood and bone. Women's bodies carry the rhythm of fertility, waxing and waning like the moon. All bodies, with age, carry the arc of growth, peak, and decline. Bones calcify and soften, hair thickens and then thins, senses sharpen and then dim. No stage is permanent. Each stage gives way to the next. The cycle is not a flaw, it's the design. And beyond even this are cycles older still, genetic loops that have passed through thousands of generations, repeating patterns written in DNA. You are not only yourself, you are also the echo of ancestors. Their traits carried forward in spirals of code, loops of inheritance. Within you eyes, hair, skin, gestures, and instincts are cycles repeating across centuries. You are a point in a great circle, a brief flame in an eternal chain. In sleep, you can imagine yourself dissolving into this rhythm. The heart beats, the breath rises and falls, cells are replaced, thoughts drift in and out like tides. Nothing in you is fixed. Nothing in you is isolated. You are an unfolding, a repetition, a cycle among cycles. And just as your body holds these rhythms, the universe holds its own. Galaxies spin like pinwheels. Stars are born in nebulae, shine, collapse, and scatter their elements, which one day form new stars. Planets circle suns, suns circle galactic centers. Energy moves, changes, but is never lost. The very atoms that now make your bones once burned inside ancient stars. Their cycle is your cycle. If all things are circles, then you are not apart from them. You are the circle, remembering itself. You are the breath returned to the forest. You are the pulse returned to the ocean. You are the dream returned to the dark. And tomorrow, you will wake again, renewed, a new cycle beginning, just as countless have begun before. Dreams arrive quietly, like visitors from another realm. You close your eyes, drift into sleep, and suddenly your mind begins weaving worlds. These worlds often feel strange, fragmented, filled with impossible shifts of logic. Yet, beneath their surface lies a rhythm. Neuroscience has begun to show that dreams are not mere chaos, but may function as rehearsals practice loops where the brain cycles through possibilities, replaying and reimagining events so that waking life can unfold more smoothly. In this way, the small, private loops of your dreams mirror the grander cycles of nature and perhaps even of the universe itself. The rhythm of sleep, jait, ke, as the body rests, the brain follows a pattern. Sleep unfolds in stages, from the gentle drift of light sleep into deeper, slow-wave sleep, and then into REM, the phase most closely tied to dreaming. This cycle repeats several times a night, each round lasting about 90 minutes. In this biological rhythm, one can see the first hint of looping. Even the night itself is not a straight descent into rest, but a circle that turns again and again until morning. When REM begins, the brain is as active as when you are awake, firing bursts of energy, weaving together images, sounds, and sensations. During these times, the body lies still, muscles temporarily paralyzed, as if the body must be anchored while the mind wanders. What emerges are dreams, the replaying of memories, the testing of emotions, the rehearsal of responses. Some scientists suggest that this nightly circling is like a laboratory where the brain runs simulations of life's challenges, practicing survival without risk, memory in the loop studies. have found that people who are prevented from dreaming struggle with memory the next day. Tasks learned before sleep are remembered better if the night includes a full dream cycle. In this sense, dreams are not idle stories, but active rehearsals. K. Imagine practicing a difficult piano passage while awake your fingers stumble. Learn and adapt. Then at night, the brain silently repeats the movement in a dreamlike rehearsal. Neural circuits strengthen, and when you return to the piano, the piece flows more easily. Athletes, too, benefit from this hidden practice. A runner visualizes a course, a gymnast rehearses a routine, and at night, their minds return to these images. The dream becomes a shadow of training, refining muscle memory without lifting a limb. Even emotional rehearsals occur, a conversation replayed, a fear faced, a joy anticipated. Dreams provide the stage for countless repetitions where outcomes are tested and responses sharpened the circular nature of dreams. Anyone who has kept a dream journal knows that dreams repeat. Themes circle back, falling, being chased, arriving late, speaking to the dead. These motifs do not occur once, but return in variations, like the refrains of a song. In psychology, such repetitions are seen as the mind looping unresolved tensions or processing recurring needs. But viewed cosmically, they suggest something deeper, that our inner worlds echo the very patterns of the outer universe. Moving in cycles rather than lines, the repetition of dreams is not unlike the seasons. Just as winter returns each year with cold and quiet, a dream may return in a new form, reminding you of unfinished business or unresolved emotions. The looping of these inner experiences reflects the looping of life itself: birth, growth, decline, renewal. Dreams, as evolution's laboratory dreams, may also be ancient tools of survival. Consider early humans facing predators, storms, rival tribes. In waking life, a single mistake could mean death. But in dreams, one could rehearse dangers in safety. A sudden chase through a dream landscape allowed the body to practice fear, flight, or fight without consequence. The brain tested scenarios so that when real danger came, the mind and body were already rehearsed. This view turns dreams into loops of preparation, just as nature cycles through generations, refining species through evolution. The dreaming brain cycles through possibilities, refining behavior through rehearsal. The loop, once again, is not wasteful repetition, but the path of adaptation, echoes. In philosophy, the notion of loops in dreaming is not new. Ancient cultures often saw dreams as messages from beyond, but they also saw their repetitive quality as significant. The Greeks spoke of dreams as the rehearsal halls of fate. In some Eastern philosophies, life itself was seen as a dream that repeats across reincarnations, each loop offering another chance to practice wisdom. Nietzsche, with his idea of eternal return, asked, what if every moment of your life were to recur endlessly? How would you live, knowing each decision was part of an infinite cycle? Dreams, in their nightly returns, provide a softer version of this question. What if your mind were showing you the loops of your own being, urging you to prepare, to learn, to live differently when the cycle returns? Loops beyond the brain step back, and you see that dreams are not isolated. They are loops within larger loops. Your heart beats in repeating rhythms as you dream. Your breath rises and falls in cycles. Outside, the earth spins, bringing night and day. The moon circles, drawing tides. The seasons rotate, painting the landscape anew. In this grand context, your dreams are not anomalies, but participants in the great looping of existence. The same pattern may hold true for the universe itself. As cosmologists debate whether time is linear or cyclical. Some theories propose that the cosmos expands, slows, contracts, and then begins again an endless sequence of births and deaths, much like a dream resetting itself for another rehearsal. In this view, your personal practice loops are microcosms of the universe's practice loops. It's the dream of all existence, repeating across eons. The mystery of lucidities, sometimes awareness, pierces the loop. In a lucid dream, you realize you are dreaming. The rehearsal becomes conscious. You can choose, experiment, explore. Here, too, lies an echo of cosmic speculation. If the universe itself is a loop, what would it mean to awaken within it, to know you are repeating? Would free will blossom in that realization, or would it simply deepen the sense of inevitability? The paradox of lucidity touches the question of destiny. If life is a loop, perhaps our freedom lies in recognizing the pattern, choosing our response within the repetition. Just as a lucid dreamer can steer a dream, perhaps a conscious being can alter the loop of life, bending fate within its repetition. Comfort in repetition for many. The idea of repetition can feel heavy and eternal recurrence of struggles and mistakes, but dreams remind us that loops are not prisons. Each return is not identical. It's variation, practice, refinement. You may dream the same fear again, but each time you grow less shaken, more prepared. Repetition builds resilience. In this way, dreams teach a quiet lesson. Loops need not be despairing. They are opportunities. Just as a musician plays scales again and again, or a tree returns to blossom each spring, so too does the dream return, guiding growth through cycles. The cosmic parallel, imagine the universe itself as a dreamer, looping through ages, practicing its unfolding. Galaxies form and dissolve, stars ignite and fade, planets rise and fall. Each cycle is not wasted, but is part of a cosmic rehearsal, refining complexity, testing possibilities. Just as your dreams prepare you for tomorrow, perhaps the universe dreams through its loops to prepare for futures beyond imagining. And in that view, you and your dreams are not separate, but part of the larger rehearsal. Your nightly loops are threads in the cosmic tapestry, small echoes of the universe's great repetition. Closing, reflection dreams as practice loops remind us that repetition is not mere sameness. It is rehearsal, preparation, refinement. Alright? Night, as you drift into dreams, you step into a cycle that connects you to the rhythms of your own body, to the circles of earth and sky, and perhaps even to the looping of the universe itself. In sleep, you become part of this great rehearsal. Each dream is a cycle turning, an echo of greater cycles. Each repetition is a chance to grow. And perhaps, in the quiet unfolding of these loops, we glimpse the pattern of all existence. That life, like dreaming, is less a straight path and more a circle, turning endlessly, teaching endlessly, preparing endlessly for what comes next. The sun rises each morning, quietly, almost imperceptibly at first. A soft glow stretches across the horizon. Then the light strengthens, washing the world in warmth. To you, it feels like a new day, fresh and singular, something that has never existed before. And in one sense, it is. Yet, in another, older and more mysterious sense, perhaps this dawn has risen countless times before, not only across centuries, but across cycles of existence itself. The idea that the universe may one day restart, replaying itself in endless loops, carries with it the haunting thought that this very sunrise is not your first, and not your last, but one in an eternal procession of mornings. The notion of cycles has always followed humanity. Farmers knew it in the turning of seasons. Priests and philosophers saw it in the waxing and waning of the moon, in the birth and death of stars that seemed eternal until, suddenly, they were not. And now, in physics and cosmology, the same intuition emerges, that time itself may not be a straight line running from the beginning to the end, but a circle folding back on itself. If this is so, the dawn you see may already belong to a chain of dawns stretching backward without beginning and forward without end. The familiarity of cycles in every part of life. We see cycles. Your body follows circadian rhythms, attuned to light and darkness, waking and sleeping. Oceans follow tides, drawn by the pull of the moon. Even civilizations rise and fall, collapse and rebuild, repeating patterns of power and decline. If small things follow circles, why not the universe itself? Why should existence, vast and ancient, be bound to a single path when everything within it is drawn into loops? Imagine waking one morning and sensing not remembering, but knowing that this exact dawn has happened before. It's the same clouds in the sky, the same bird in the same tree, the same breath leaving your chest. Perhaps you cannot recall it, but some deep familiarity rests in the air, as though you were tracing steps already walked, in an eternal return. This is not metaphor, but reality. The universe, as it resets, carries everything back into place. And here you are, again, waking to the same dawn. Ancient whispers of eternal return, long before modern physics. Ancient philosophers and mystics held this idea close. In India, Hindu cosmology described the universe as moving through yugas immense, cycles of creation, preservation, and destruction. The cosmos was not a straight line toward a final judgment, but an eternal wheel, spinning endlessly. In Greece, the Stoics imagined the ekpyrosis, a great cosmic fire that consumed everything, only for the universe to be reborn and begin again exactly as before. Nietzsche gave the idea its sharpest edge when he asked, what if this life, as you now live it, had to be lived again and again, endlessly? He called it the eternal return, and it was not only a cosmological speculation, but a challenge to live in such a way that you would welcome the repetition. These were not just spiritual metaphors. They were ways of sensing something fundamental. That repetition may be woven into the fabric of existence itself. Modern physics and the cycle of universes today, cosmologists ask questions that echo these ancient whispers. The Big Bang, once thought of as a single beginning, may not be the only one. Some models suggest the universe expands, slows, collapses, and begins again a cycle of big bangs and big crunches. Others imagine a multiverse where countless universes bloom and fade, each one perhaps replaying patterns familiar and strange. Equations describe close, time-like curves, mathematical pathways where time bends back on itself. If the geometry of space can permit it, then the universe may be not a line, not even a circle, but a spiral repeating, but never quite the same. Looping, but with variation. If such cycles exist, then dawn itself becomes a kind of evidence, not in its colors or its warmth, but in the very fact that it recurs, that it arrives again and again, seemingly the same, yet never identical. Each sunrise could be a small echo of a far larger pattern, the cosmos rehearsing itself on scales both vast and intimate. Dawn as symbol, the dawn is more than light. It is a symbol of renewal, of return, of beginnings that are not really beginnings. Every day ends, but every day also starts again. You do not remember all the other mornings of your life in vivid detail, and yet they accumulate, looping into routines. Wake, breathe, stretch, open your eyes to light. Even without memory, you repeat. Now extend that feeling outward, the dawn, not only as your daily cycle, but as the universe's way of whispering that repetition is the rule, not the exception. The light you see today may be the same light in some eternal sense that you saw 1,000 lifetimes ago. The photons may be different, the sky may shift, but the cycle itself is eternal. The paradox of awareness if the universe does repeat. The strangest question is, would you know? Perhaps every word I speak now has been spoken to you before. countless times. Perhaps you have already drifted to sleep to this exact rhythm of thought, the same pauses, the same sentences, and yet you do not recall. The cycle conceals itself. In forgetting, this is both comforting and unsettling. Comforting because it suggests that nothing is ever truly lost. Every joy, every sunrise, every moment of love will return. But unsettling because it also suggests that every sorrow, every loss, every darkness returns as well. The cycle is impartial. It does not choose only what is beautiful. And so, when you wake to the same dawn, you are not only meeting light again, you are meeting everything again. Life in all its fullness, woven into endless repetition. The dawn in human history. Human beings have always treated sunrise as sacred. Ancient Egyptians aligned temples with the rising sun, marking renewal. Stonehenge and other megaliths are oriented toward solstices, celebrating the dawn of particular days as moments when the cycle of the world turns. Even now, in modern cities, people gather on hillsides and shorelines to greet the New Year's sunrise, as though to affirm that cycles still matter, even in digital age. Why? Because dawn is the daily rehearsal of eternity. Each morning says, yes, time may flow forward, but it also returns. And when the universe itself may be cyclical, dawn becomes more than light. It becomes a clue. A small glimpse into the structure of reality. Sleep and the loop has. You listen now. Perhaps your eyes are closing, your breath slowing. Sleep itself is another cycle, echoing dawn and dusk. You enter dreams, drift into darkness, and wake again into light. This too mirrors the idea of cosmic return. Your nights are small rehearsals for the great cycles of the universe, and in your dreams, repetition often shows itself. Familiar faces, recurring places, echoes of memory replayed. Perhaps this is why sleep has always been a companion to thoughts of eternity. To sleep, to dream, to wake always in a loop, always in rhythm. What it means to live in loops. If the universe loops, does free will exist? Are you choosing, or are you simply retracing steps you have taken infinitely before? It is a haunting thought, yet there is another way to see it. If every dawn, every life, every breath is repeated endlessly, then each moment gains a kind of weight. Nothing is trivial, for everything recurs. Each gesture matters, not only once, but always. When you smile at a stranger, when you forgive, when you love, that moment returns forever. When you wake to dawn and feel the light on your face, that sensation, too, is eternal. Returning to the donand, so we return to the beginning. It's dawn, arriving again. It is new, but also old. 'Tis yours, but also shared by countless beings across time. It may be the first, but it may also be the millionth. And as you watch it, or imagine it, behind your closed eyes, you may feel a strange reassurance that in the loops of the cosmos, nothing is truly lost. Light always returns. The universe may stretch on endlessly, or it may fold back on itself in circles beyond comprehension. Either way, the dawn is your reminder that repetition is natural, eternal, inevitable. You have woken before, you will wake again, and in every waking there is beauty. So rest now, knowing that tomorrow's sunrise waits for you. And whether it is the first or the thousandth, whether it belongs to this universe or another, it will rise gently, faithfully, endlessly. The deeper we peer into the patterns of nature, the more we see them returning to circles. The planets trace their orbits, drawn endlessly around their stars. The moon pulls at the seas and tides that rise and fall, always to return. Even the human heart beats in cycles of contraction and release, sustaining life through its own rhythm of repetition. Science offers us mathematics for these cycles, equations that measure arcs and paths, rules for how the universe bends and stretches. We can calculate the orbit of a comet centuries before it will return. We can trace the echo of a heartbeat across a screen. Yet, behind the precision, there lingers a question that no formula can silence. Why does the universe love circles? Einstein gave us a vision of space and time, not as rigid scaffolding, but as something pliable, capable of curving under the weight of energy and mass. And if it can curve, it can close perhaps into loops that stretch beyond our comprehension. Physics calls them closed time-like curves, but philosophy gave them another name long ago: eternal return. The thought unsettles and soothes at once. If everything repeats, then perhaps nothing is ever truly lost. Every dawn you witness has been witnessed before, and every breath you take has been drawn countless times across countless ages. The air itself, made of atoms billions of years old, is a cycle of its own. Your breath, once belonging to forests, oceans, even ancient creatures, long turned to dust. Still, the mystery remains. Equations can point to possibilities, but they cannot tell us why. Why a universe should curve, or why repetition might be written into its fabric. It's a question that drifts between science and philosophy, between waking thought and dream. Perhaps, in some quiet way, this unknowing is part of the circle. To live is to move within cycles we do not fully understand. Sleeping and waking, growing and fading, beginnings folding into endings. Science teaches us how to see them. It's mystery teaches us how to wonder at them, okay? And together they create a rhythm, a lullaby woven into the fabric of existence, drawing you gently along its endless loop. Asterisk, the quiet of night invites strange possibilities. As you settle into stillness, your body folding into the rhythm of rest. It is easy to imagine that time itself might be following the same pattern, curving gently, endlessly, back toward itself. A circle, rather than a straight line dot. In such a universe, sleep becomes more than a pause between days. It becomes a passage, a crossing over and back again, like a wave returning to shore. Each dream you drift into may not be entirely new. It may be the repetition of a dream already dreamed, softly altered by the passage of memory, yet still bound to the shape it once held. Think of it like walking through a familiar forest path at dusk. The shadows fall the same way. The air carries the same scent of pine, and yet each step feels slightly different. So, too, might dreams return, circling through your nights across years, or perhaps across ages. The echo of a childhood dream might reach into adulthood, or even further into lives forgotten if the circle of existence is wider than one lifetime. Science entertains the idea with quiet seriousness. Closed time-like curves suggest that time, under certain conditions, may indeed fold into loops. In the equations, the future meets the past, and beginnings dissolve into endings. It is not proof, but possibility, a suggestion that what you dream tonight may already belong to the eternal cycle. And so, as your mind drifts away from wakefulness, you may rest in that thought, that this moment of falling asleep is part of a larger rhythm, that the quiet heartbeat within you, steady and circular, is keeping time with the very structure of the cosmos. You need not solve the mystery. It is enough simply to know that sleep itself may be one of the universe's oldest and gentlest loops.